The night had a strange stillness, the kind that came before something awful or holy. The wind moved through the canyon like a whispering ghost, and the only sound louder than the crickets was the creak of saddle leather beside a dying campfire. Sheriff Colton Briggs slept light, as all men of his kind did. A Colt 45 rested by his hand, and his horse, Dust Devil, snorted softly in the shadows. But somewhere out there in that cold, starlit desert, hunger had a face, and desperation wore moccasins. A faint rustle broke the quiet. The sheriff's horse lifted his head, ears twitching. The fire popped once, throwing a halo of light across the rocks, and in that flicker appeared a woman, thin as a ghost, her skin dark and dry from sun and sorrow. Her eyes darted from the sleeping sheriff to the horse. Her lips moved, whispering something in Apache, a prayer or an apology. She stepped closer. Her hands trembled as she reached for the reins. "Touch that rope," came a voice like gravel sliding down a canyon wall, "and I'll make you part of the scenery." The woman froze. The sheriff hadn't even lifted his head, but his pistol gleamed in the firelight, steady as his heartbeat. She turned, her face half hidden by tangled black hair, and in her eyes he saw not fear but defiance. "I only need the horse," she rasped, her English broken but sharp. "My boy, he dying, fever, no horse, no medicine. No horse, no son." The sheriff sat up slowly, the brim of his hat cutting a shadow across his face. "You try to steal from me, I got to make a lesson out of you. Folks around here respect law, not pity." "Law?" She spat, the word bitter in her mouth. "Your law burned my people's homes. Your law took our land. Now I take horse, and you call me thief." He studied her for a long, heavy moment. The fire painted her in trembling gold light, her cheekbones high, her eyes hollow. She looked like a ghost that had forgotten to lie down in its grave. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated. "Naomi, but they call me Ghost Wife, because every man I love death takes." "Well, Ghost Wife," he said quietly, lowering the pistol, "you picked the wrong horse to steal." "That one's meaner than I am." Her shoulders sagged, her strength gone. She turned away, expecting the shot to come. But none did. Instead, she heard him say, "Sit, you look about ready to fall over." Naomi didn't move. "Sit," he repeated, this time softer. She sank to the ground, wary, her eyes never leaving his. He poured coffee from his tin pot and held it out. She hesitated, then took it, both hands shaking. "Where's the boy?" he asked. 3 days' walk. "By the dry river. He waits for mother who never come." He nodded, staring into the fire. The flames danced in his eyes, and for a moment he looked less like a lawman and more like a tired man who'd seen too much. "You ride with me come dawn," he said finally. Her eyes widened. "You trust me?" "I trust the trail. If you lie, it'll bury you before I can." She almost smiled, a small, sad thing gone as soon as it came. The night stretched long. Coyotes sang in the distance, and the sheriff lay awake, listening to her quiet breathing. She slept curled by the fire like a broken wing. He thought of his own wife, buried 5 winters past, her grave marked by a single stone and a whiskey bottle he could never quite bring himself to finish. By sunrise, they were riding. The desert spread before them like an ocean of rust and gold. She rode behind him, her small hands gripping the saddle horn, her face pressed against his back. They spoke little. She hummed sometimes, a tune low and strange, the kind that made the wind lean in to listen. Around midday, she said, "You are not like the others." "The others who?" "Men with law. They take what they want and say it right." He didn't answer. They rode until the sun began to fall behind the red rocks. Then far ahead she pointed. There, the riverbed. He saw what was left of an Apache camp, burned shelters, bones of fire pits, torn blankets fluttering like ghosts. She slid off the horse before he could stop her, running barefoot over the sand. "Kai!" she cried. "Kai!" The sheriff followed slowly. His eyes caught movement by a broken tent, a small boy, maybe 6, lying on his back, his chest rising too slow. His lips were cracked, his eyes glazed with fever. Naomi fell to her knees beside him, clutching his tiny hand. "He lives," she whispered, half to herself, half to God. The sheriff knelt, felt the boy's forehead, hot as the sun. He pulled a flask from his coat, poured a few drops of whiskey into a rag, and began wiping the sweat from the child's brow. Naomi watched, tears streaking her dusty cheeks. "Why help us? Your kind does not help mine." He paused, eyes hard. "Maybe I'm tired of watching people die when I could have done something different." Her lips trembled. "He needs healer. The nearest one is far. I tried to walk. I could not." The sheriff pulled his coat off and wrapped it around the boy. "Then we'll ride. The town's 2 days south. There's a doctor there, and he owes me a favor." She looked up, stunned. "They will kill me there. Apache not welcome. They'll look at me first," he said. "I got enough bullets to make sure they don't look twice." The boy stirred in her arms, whispering something in Apache. She brushed his hair gently, whispering back through her tears. "What's he saying?" the sheriff asked. "He says, 'Thank you.'" He smiled faintly. "Tell him he ain't paid yet. Still owes me 1 horse." She laughed, a soft sound, small but alive. That night they camped by a rock ridge, the fire casting long shadows. Naomi told him stories about her husband, a hunter who'd been shot by soldiers when he refused to leave their land. About her son who had stopped speaking after the shooting. "You hate me," she said quietly. "I hate what I used to be," he replied. "There's a difference." In the morning, the boy's fever had broken. His breathing was still weak, but his eyes followed the light. Naomi pressed her forehead to his and whispered a prayer. "You saved him," she said to the sheriff. "Not yet, but we're close." They rode until the sun was nothing but a smear of red behind the hills. When they reached the outskirts of Dry Creek, the sheriff slowed. "Stay close," he told her. "People here see your skin before they see your heart." She nodded, pulling her shawl tighter around her face. They stopped at the doctor's small cabin. The doctor came out, frowning. "Briggs, what the hell is this? You bringing me trouble?" "Just a boy needs healing." "You'll do it, Apache kid? You'll get me strung up if folks see." The sheriff's hand moved to his gun. "Then best keep the door shut." The doctor swallowed hard. "All right, inside." Naomi followed, carrying Kai in her arms. For hours, the cabin was filled with the sounds of fever, whispers, and prayer. The sheriff waited outside, hat pulled low, watching the sunset bleed into night. When the doctor finally came out, his face was tired but calm. "He'll live," he said. "Rest of it's up to time." Naomi stepped out, eyes glistening. "He sleep now. He will wake." She reached for the sheriff's hand but stopped halfway, unsure. He took her fingers gently and nodded. "That boy's got a better chance than most." She looked at the horse, Dust Devil, then back at him. "We have nothing to give you. You already gave me something," he said. "Reminded me what a man's supposed to be." She lowered her eyes. "What will you do now?" He shrugged. "Keep riding. Maybe there's more ghosts need burying." She stepped closer. "Take this." She pulled the small wooden carving from around her neck, the one shaped like a hawk, and placed it in his hand. "My husband carved this when we were happy." "You keep, for luck." He held it tight. "You'll need it more." She shook her head. "You carry death. I carry life now." He smiled at that, a small crack in the stone of his face. As dawn broke, the sheriff untied Dust Devil and turned the reins toward her. "He's yours now," he said. "You'll need him to keep that boy fed." Naomi blinked in disbelief. "But he your heart." "Maybe," he said, swinging his rifle over his shoulder. "But you just gave me mine back." She covered her mouth as tears ran freely, whispering, "Thank you, lawman." He tipped his hat. "Ain't no law out here but what we make." Then he turned and began walking into the desert, his boots crunching on sand, his figure growing smaller with each step. Naomi watched until he vanished into the sunrise, a lone shape swallowed by the light. Dust Devil nickered softly and turned his head toward her, as if accepting his new fate. That day, Dry Creek saw something it had never seen before. A lawman who gave away his horse to a woman who'd tried to steal it. Some say the sheriff never came back. Others claim they saw him years later, riding through the canyon at dusk. a wooden hawk tied to his saddle. And when the wind howled across those red cliffs, folks swore they could hear it whisper, "He didn't harm her. He healed her." And somewhere far off, under that same burning sky, a poor Apache widow whispered back, "And he saved us both."